Shalom Israel, Shalom. This the brother Katazi or Hawad. All right, it's gonna be a walk and talk. You know what I'm saying? Fresh off the plantation. All right. And before we get started, let me first give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Hakwadash. Double honors to my teachers, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the brothers out there who are laboring in this truth and faith and sincerity. Shalom to the families out there who are watching, waiting, praying on Yahweh Shai's second return. Peace and blessings to the house of David, the hopeful elect. All right, and the spirit was on me, you know, before this walk and talk to say, man, stay repenting, stay praying to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai Shai. All right, because we heading into some perilous times. You know, what's that? Is that 2 Peter or Salakia? 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 8. All right, we heading into some real perilous times. So this is just a reminder to stay in the spirit, to keep fighting the good fight of faith. All right, to remain prisoners of Yahweh Shai, prisoners of hope, all right, and not be succumbed to this world. You know, as the scriptures say, you know, paraphrasing, you know, our treasures are stored in heaven, meaning when the kingdom of heaven is brought down to the earth and we brought back to the motherland, right, and we brought back to Jerusalem, like physically brought back there, right, be it via the UFO, the so-called UFOs, the chariots of Yahweh Shai Shai, or for those 2/3 that are born into the kingdom. All right. When we back in the kingdom, that's where our treasures lie. That's where our treasures will be. All right. So this is why we got to focus on salvation. Okay. We got to focus on salvation. Focus on Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. All right. And, you know, for those who are just now coming into this truth, you know, a few key points for you to understand is, yes, we are, one, rehearsing the righteous acts of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. We are rehearsing the righteous acts, meaning we cannot keep all of the laws. All right, we simply cannot keep them. Okay. How many Israelite men out here or families do you know out here that can afford, you know, for the man to put his husband, Salakia, for a man as a husband to put his wife into a separate living quarters, a separate home, if you will, you know, while she's on her menstrual cycle, because while she's on her menstrual cycle, she's unclean. Okay? How many Israelites can really afford to do that every month? You know what I'm saying? For the entirety of a week. You know what I'm saying? How many people have, you know, how some homes have like a smaller second home in the backyard. All right? Not many people live in situations that's like that, man. A lot of Israelites, the majority, if you will, are living in apartments. All right, and they can't afford to, you know, put their wife. Salakia, I hit the stop button by accident. But on my way to the plantation today, there was a bus driver, and he had on fringes. He had on, right, the border of blue, pursuant to the book of Numbers. Right, he had on the border of blue with the gold fringes. All right, like you see many of the brothers wear when we set up camp. All right, and when we outside or if we in our homes, right, we wear the garments. Okay, doing lessons. All right, but that's an example of being over righteous, right? Trying to wear fringes everywhere you go. You know what I'm saying? You got the fringes on your hoodie and your t-shirt and stuff like this. You know, that's just being over righteous, man. and honestly just making yourself a target, all right, unnecessarily. You see, but I can already tell just by the fact that that bus driver, he was a Jake, you know, just I could tell he was a Jake. All right, we don't go straight off appearance, but you know, through the spirit, you can tell certain things to a degree. All right, so let me rephrase it. For the most, I'm pretty sure he was a Jake. He looked like a Judah. He looked like a Judite or a brother of Judah, right? So he had his hair lined up like fresh cut, right? Beard lined up, all that, and then the fringes. So what that told me was he doesn't have the 100% truth, the 144% truth. All right, he's learning from one of these other groups, right? IUIC or GOCC or One Body Yahawashi or Watchmen for Israel or Sakari. All right, or what else is it? House of Israel? All these different other groups, right? That don't have this knowledge and this truth. Or he could be a lone wolf. That's well, he still will be learning from these groups, even if he's not necessarily a part of them, right? The same way GMS, Great Millstone, has affiliates, right? Camps that set up themselves, but you know, they preach and teach the same doctrine as Great Millstone. That's who they learn from. You see? And if you're not learning from GMS, if you're not learning from the elders and apostles of GMS, right, the high priests, bishops, you know, who previously taught, you know, if you're not learning from the elders and apostles on down, man, then you're not learning correctly. All right? You're just simply not learning correctly, and you'll do shit like be over righteous and think that it's a sin to cuss. Right? You think it's a sin, you know, like the Christians. You would think it's a sin for somebody to have some wine with they drink, with their dinner or something like that. You know, you would learning from them. You would think, you know, adultery is a man having sex. Is a man having sex with another woman, if he's married. You know what I'm saying? Or sex before marriage. You know, when sex is marriage. But you got to have a spirit of understanding to understand that sex is marriage. All right? But yeah, man. And on top of that, like, sex is marriage. So many people are committing adultery, right? You got women with high body counts out here. You know, they're sleeping around, riding the cock carousel, you know. And then you got different men having sex with these different women. And these women have husbands already, right? Because once a woman loses her virginity, that man is her husband. That's who she's supposed to stay with until he dies. Then she can remarry, right? So in the old days, it would be like, you know, a woman would only have been with one man the entirety of her life, unless that man died. Then she could be remarried. Otherwise, if they for some reason separated, which you're not supposed to, then they are either supposed to reconcile, or that woman is supposed to stay by herself for the remainder of her days. You see? But you got women today who be with, you know, Bobby, Joe, Timmy, Alex, Zach, you know, Jabari, you know, Man, Pookie, Ray, Chad, Tyrone, you know. They be with all these different cats, man, with these high ass body counts, you know. And it's just all fucked up right now, man. This is why Yahweh Shem Yahawashi has to send Yahawashi to come hit and hit that reset button, man. You know, wickedness is at an all-time high. You know, the earth is polluted and exceeding wickedness. I'm not trying to butcher the scripture, but I'm trying to paraphrase to a degree. That's what it says in the book of, is it first Esdras or second Esdras, all right, in the Apocrypha. Might be first Esdras chapter 15 or second Esdras chapter 15, all right. But you know, that's why this great reset gotta happen, man. And again, you know, this walk and talk is just about keep the faith, man. Keep the faith, because we're about to go through some very troublesome times. All right, we're about to go through some very troublesome times. But what you need to understand is that if you have favor of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, if you have favor of the Lord, then you're gonna be covered, man. If you are part of the hopeful elect, you're going to be covered. Meaning Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is going to be your defense against, you know, wild animals, your defense against pestilences and diseases, your defense against hunger and thirst, right? Your defense against attackers, if you will, right? These 2/3, you know. So understand, having favor of the Lord is there's no currency above that. There's no currency outside of the favor of the Lord that can buy you these things in these troublesome times that are coming. All right? Because as we know, Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 7, the day of the Lord is approaching. All right? That prophecy is coming to pass soon, man. You know? And, you know, like the prophecy of Isaiah chapter 4, you know, a lot of men are going to be killed in war. A lot of men in these different race wars, gender wars, civil wars, right? World War III, you know, martial law, Jacob's trouble. A lot of men are going to die. And that's going to leave a lot of women single. So, like, women that are already single, and then women who had men, but those men are dead now, you know, going out to go get some, trying to go get some food because the society done collapsed and you can't go get no fast food. You can't go to no restaurant. You can't go to no grocery store, you know. So what you think folks gonna do? Folks gonna try to figure it out. You're gonna have some folks breaking into houses and stuff like that, you know, killing the men and taking the women, you know. You're going to have some men that go out to try to find food and what have you, and then they won't make it back home, man. You know, as unfortunate as that is, this is the way that it has to play out. All right? So we are looking forward to the destruction of Babylon, all right, because we know that will lead to our rest. Micah 2:10, this is not our rest as Israelites, all right? Our rest won't come until we in the kingdom, man. So have faith. Keep praying to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You believers out there, double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who still rule well to this day and have taught me this truth. Shalom to the brothers out there laboring in this truth and faith and sincerity. All right. Until the next video, call halal Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Shalom.